Hey everyone, Felix from Nintendo Life here, and Sion has returned from Nova York, where he got to play 10 games, 10 Switch 2 games.
Yeah,
Sion,
10.
You've played Mario Kart well, we got to see it, and we have a video out on that, but today we're here to talk about all the games you played, Sion. So, let's start with the big one. Let's start with Mario Kart World. Also, Alex is also here. Sorry, I forgot to introduce the people. I'm so excited to hear about the games. Let's go.
Sorry, I want to jump in with a question. Does it feel the same as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Does it feel slightly different, noticeably different? And if so, how?
I think it just feels like a Mario Kart game. The one thing I was really impressed with was I'm not a fantastic 150cc first place player, but I felt really competent when I was like racing through. I was able to do the drifts. I was still popping the the tricks off of jumps. Honestly, when I first picked up the game, I was like, what is the gas button again? But maybe that was just like me being scared because it was the first time I had like held a Switch 2 Pro controller and then a Switch 2 console.
Mario Kart compared to a lot of other races have it on A instead of the back one.
Yeah.
Okay. You just have to get used to. I know other people are like, yeah, Mario Kart controls are just weird, but as soon as you get used to them, it's like second nature. And we'll get there with the game chat. We'll play so much. Don't worry about it.
I think that's the thing with this Mario Kart World game is that, which I almost called it World Tour, but with Mario Kart World is that it feels like all the past Mario Kart games for the most part, but just with all of these expanded new features, like the fact that, you know, when you're in the 24 player mode where players
knockout
get,
tour?
axed, knockout tour. You know, and you can go like just race around the world. There's like little secrets and things to find.
We saw when you were like waiting for the rules to be set or something, which took a surprising amount of time. I think we cut a lot of it from the video, but you were just driving around going, what's over here? What's over here? So
at least you can do that.
You're not stuck in a menu, which is a lovely feature.
I don't know if you saw it on either Alana's screen or my screen, but we were in this kind of like, we were in the ocean essentially, and there were ships all around, and it felt like a level out of Hydro Thunder, if anyone's played that before. We noticed Alana like went off in the distance and found like a dragon just like flying around outside.
I don't remember seeing that.
The limit to the water. Yeah, and I went out.
Hang on, sorry.
Like,
we're talking about Mario Kart, not Breath of
Yep.
the Wild. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the dragon from like. Is there a dragon in Mario Odyssey or Galaxy or something like that?
I mean, there's the lava kind of dragon that comes out. Is it that one?
Blood.
Maybe we'll have to go back and look. Maybe it was just similar to that, or I didn't get the footage. But then I went off in a different direction. I found the big cloud that just blows like a gust of wind. It was just off in the distance, and then there were like a bunch of Goomba just floating around in floaties and like on rafts. And they've just added so much character into this game. It makes sense why it's taken them so long to make this. They've probably just had all these ideas in the bank, and now they're finally putting them to paper now. I'm not even a big Mario Kart guy, but I'm so excited to like go race around with you guys and call up friends and have them jump in with me and just like explore the world. And they're making it into such a social thing.
I've got to ask you something. You may not know the answer to this. You may not be allowed to answer this. Is there 200cc mode?
Oh, I didn't see speeds.
Damn.
In Treehouse, they have like showcased, and there's 50, 100, and 150. 200 might be unlockable, but right now there's no sign of it, unfortunately. Oh, Alex is out. While Alex is
what are you
out,
thinking?
I'll ask you a question about, because I have some stuff I'm a bit worried about. I have two concerns, and maybe you can ease them out. My one concern is that, like in Knockout Tour, a lot of the tracks seem very linear, very big, almost no turns, and it's like, surely that becomes boring in the long run. Like, I really hope that they have the feature to just like, you can do 3 laps instead of having to drive to each track. Like, it's a cool idea, but also, yeah, how did that feel?
I think I was so focused on getting into a position that wasn't going to knock me out that I didn't really even think about the linearity of the tracks. Is linearity a word? It doesn't matter.
Sounds about right, doesn't it?
Yeah, thanks. It didn't even occur to me, really. I watched your video now where you guys have dissected Alana and I's footage and all of the other, Gene Park and Steven Totillo's footage, and I just loved it. I loved my time with the game, and maybe over time that could be an issue, but in the moment I was just so excited to be playing playing the game, and just thankful I was having a good time, I suppose.
Now, with so many players, like items, how is the item distribution? Since there's so many players, that it must surely there's more items. Do you just get hit more often?
You know, I did notice myself like almost not being able to pick up item boxes more frequently, but I think it's, you know, they've got sections where there are 2 item boxes stacked on top of each other, and I was always trying to go for those like any normal person would. Somebody else would more often than not just pick one up than I would, but the item boxes are connected like so closely together that like if you're going for that one and you miss it, you're like, I was still hitting one of the other ones anyways. I remember there was a moment where I got the bullet bill, I'm pretty sure, or I watched Alana do it or something, and we just flew right through like 12 people, and that felt really good. I imagine that, you know, the higher up you are, the less powerful items you'll still get and everything.
That was part of the problem with the footage you sent. Alana was so good. We saw barely any new items. Come on.
Well, hey, hopefully I evened that out a little bit at times here and there, but it was so fun to hear you guys like rooting me on. That was really special. I'll remember that forever.
But you know what else is special, Cian? You got to play 9 other games. Can you take us through what kind of... I mean, you got Donkey Kong Bonanza. You also got the not pack-in title, which should be a pack-in title. And lots of other stuff. The D&D, as I call it now. D&D.
Let's talk about Metroid. I want to do a whole separate video talking all about my time with Metroid. I played it twice, and the second time I played it entirely in mouse mode. It's the sort of thing that I like. I'm not a keyboard and mouse gamer. I'm not very used to that. I've dabbled a little bit here and there over the years, but it felt very natural in a strange way. Half of that is probably because I'm already familiar with, you know, half of the controls on a Joy-Con, right? Now you're just changing up the right side, and everyone knows how to use a mouse. We're just not naturally always maybe like as quick with it as we'd like. But it felt good to like lock onto an enemy still, which also helped. There are tons of things in the environment to scan still. They, like, for the most part, all still have like individual bits of dialogue. Alex has a question.
I need to ask. How do you get the scan visor out? Because it used to be like a C-stick or D-pad thing, depending on which version you were playing.
It's getting the Switch 2 Pro controller.
Later, potato.
Don't tell Nintendo I have the Switch 2 Joy-Con back there. No, so I was just grabbing a pair of Joy-Con. I'm pretty sure it was the X button was the visor and the Y button was the morph ball. During my demo, I was constantly like jumping into the morph ball on accident.
While you had the mouse, then you can also click the buttons.
Yeah, yep. So basically the way I would hold it was like,
nice.
This is the Joy-Con. I would hold it like this, and I would switch. Like, I tried 2 fingers. That was a little weird. I was usually just using one and then like hitting the buttons. But that's the other thing, is now it's not that the perspective has changed, because you're still holding the controller the same, really. It's just something you have to get used to. Yeah, it was fun to go around and scan things. You can I don't know if you could do this in Metroid Prime 2 and 3, but you could talk to the NPCs in Metroid Prime 4, and they had like, some of them were like, oh, that's Samus, the legendary like bounty hunter. Like, I can't believe I'm getting to work with her. And then there was a moment where an NPC died, and the other, like, the soldiers like went up to them and like stood around them, and one of them was like, I'm so sorry, like I'll be ready for like battle next time. And they really felt the gravity of the fact that like their comrade died in front of them, and it's so smooth. The boss battle, I have things to say about that, but we'll save that for the other video. I'm really impressed. And I haven't told you guys, but I've been playing Metroid Prime Remastered over the past
nice.
week, and I'm like 5 hours in, and I'm just loving it. And so I'm as a newly made Metroid Prime fan, I'm really stoked for 4.
Metroid Prime Remastered 4K 60 on Switch 2.
God. That'd be great.
Where's 2 and 3? A topic for another day as well. But
I know.
But you know what also would be great is to hear about Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yes.
When it was first shown off, I thought this was a banjo game. The eyeballs on the crystals, I don't know, like, I wasn't even looking at the bananas. I was just looking at the little crystal kind of things that were walking around. They had like eyelashes, and they were very sparkly, and I was like, those are rare assets right there. And it wasn't. It was a Donkey Kong game.
They had already said that they had finished with third-party announcements.
Very fair. But in the moment, I was like, we don't know what this is.
I thought it was a new Mario Odyssey, I think, as a lot of
I didn't know what it was. I was just like, they'll tell me, I'm sure.
Sure. So I played about 10 minutes of the demo. I wish I could have gone back and played more, but there was, it was just a long day with a lot of stuff to do. So they throw you into the early part where you're in the mine, you've got your mining hat on, and people will get to see the footage here on screen. But you're, with the controls in that game is like the Y button, you punch forward, the X button is up, and the B button is down, and the A is jump. And then you can like grab things, and you can like do a dodge roll and stuff like with the triggers. And it's a lot to wrap your head around. It's different than just like a jump and a punch button. It's a different kind of platformer in a sense. And I found myself very quickly getting lost in the mine. There's just so much dirt and like rocks and rubble.
Sounds like the start of a horror film. I found myself getting lost in the mine.
Donkey Kong yearned for the mines ever since he was a little kid.
I mean, he does love mine carts. He loves going through them, or maybe he just is forced to, and now he's just in the mines.
I do want to ask about the game because it looks like the main hook is like you can destroy anything, but like what's the purpose of doing it? Is it actually fun? Does it feel good?
I don't know yet. I'm very torn on it. I think that's why I'm so I want to be reserved with my opinion on it because I only played it for 10 minutes. You know, that's not enough time for me to say to say it's a good or bad game. I just feel like this game has a bit of an identity crisis as well. Like if you take Donkey Kong out of many of the visuals, like the Sky Island, doesn't it look a bit like Tears of the Kingdom? Like the color palette is yellow and gray, and there's blue backgrounds, and there's elements that look like this is Mario Odyssey 2. But then you have this really animated Donkey Kong. I'm just and there were also like there were glitches as well. There's a moment where when I'm in the mines, I break a banana, and like DK like turns around and does like the Mario Odyssey like I got a moon thing, and then there's like a graphical like texture that just appears below his feet. And the game comes out in June. Is it June or July?
July. It's a month after, like approximately a month after release date.
The thing I'm just the most concerned about is like if you're digging through mines and dirt all the time, that's what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And like I was really hoping, and I don't know if you guys felt the same, but I was really hoping that this was going to be a Donkey Kong where you get to explore massive jungles and caves and you're swinging around on vines. I just want a good 3D Donkey Kong game. And this feels like it's more of from my first impressions is this doesn't feel like a Donkey Kong game.
Okay.
And I bet I'll grow to love it. I'm not convinced yet.
I have to go. But
don't worry, we'll still be here. It's just Alex.
But before I do, these two are hanging around. I've got to go though. Before I do, I've got to ask, Cyberpunk. Did you like it? Have you played it before?
Yeah, so I started Cyberpunk on Xbox Series X. I had the Ultimate Edition. I put a couple hours in. I did the character creator. I started getting into the tutorial, and I was excited to play it. But then I just put it down because gamer issues. Things just come up. I didn't have experience with it before, so my footage probably looks like I've never played the game. But I was really impressed in the visual department, especially with the fact that the neon lights completely changed the environment. You'll be walking through one section and you'll see it's a blue area, and now it's red, and that sounds really simple and stupid, but it was just really inviting, even though the city is scummy and dirty.
I don't think many people have described Night City as inviting.
Well, I guess I'm just a big neon connoisseur. I do really like neon lights, not gonna lie. I still had a lot of fun with it, running into combat and looking down the sights and shooting enemies and trying to hide under cover. The characters felt or the enemies, there was this weird thing. I'll show it on screen here, but there was this weird thing where I had a hammer and I whacked an enemy and he just hit the ground instantly. There was no ragdoll transition, and then I smoked him again, and he just it was almost like I hit him again with the hammer, and his body the animation didn't change. He just went he just flew off screen, and I was but maybe that's a bit of a sacrifice to get the game looking as sharp
maybe that
as
sounds
it
like a
is.
glitch more than anything.
Okay. Well, and hey, Cyberpunk. But it ran pretty well. I was really impressed with it, and I think this is if you own a PlayStation 5 or Series X, it's unless if you care about handheld mode, I don't know the reason to buy this on Switch 2 other than handheld mode, or maybe price or something. For Switch 2 owners only, if you only own that, this seems like it's going to be a great way to play the game from what I've played so far.
Superb.
Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay,
See
cool.
you later.
Well, that was all right. Now it's just you and me.
So, Sion, we still have a lot of games to talk about, though. What game do you want to talk about? Because I have a few that I want to hear.
I suppose we could talk about Dragon Drive.
Yeah.
I think is what it might be called. Drag X Drive.
Yeah, because that's one that you can't really judge by the gameplay. It's about how it feels, like how does it feel driving around in a wheelchair and like throwing hoops?
If you've ever sat in a wheelchair, right? Like the way that you move with it is by like pushing your arms kind of forward, and the motion that you're pulling off or that you're practicing with the Joy-Con as well feels very similar. Like they've really managed to kind of capture that feeling, even with like, you know, the feeling of your arms getting tired, I suppose, in a sense. Obviously it's not going to be as intensive as like actually pushing your body around in a vehicle manually. But like, you know, there were times where you push forward with the Joy-Con, and then you can kind of like, you can push one forward and one back to kind of do like a little turn. I think the Joy-Con also do like I think the ZL and ZR buttons allow you to brake as well, so you can kind of like twist a little bit quicker. And the face buttons don't do anything that are like on the controller, so you don't even have to worry about those. When you get the ball and you want to go shoot a basket, you lift up your arm physically and the Joy-Con, and you like it's a flick of the wrist that sends the basket in. There's also like a little meter down on the bottom of the screen that like control or shows how accurate the ball is. So I think it's the more you have your arm up in the air, or the longer, the more accurate it will be. Whoa. There's a lot to wrap your head around though with it. There's like tricks that you can do. You can like go up a ramp, and then you can try to throw the ball in, and you can score additional like tiny like little slivers of points if you do tricks. You can also score 3-pointers like you can just in traditional basketball, or 2-pointers based on how far away you are. It feels good. It's just intense. We got to play, Alana and I both did, with like, it was 3-on-3, and we had a good time with it. Alana didn't like it as much as I did. It's the kind of game that you can't just pick up and play. You have to go through the tutorial. You kind of have to get good at it. And I think that's really unique. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen a game that does like 2 computer mouses.
No, I've never seen that before. It's really, really cool.
Feels like they really believe in the game, because they had at the Nintendo like demo event, they had 18 booths for this Drag X Drive game, or whatever it's called. Yeah. And I think theoretically they wanted to show off a group setting to as many people as they could. But it was cool to see how much like faith they're putting in that game.
Nice. But something I'm really, really excited to hear about, because, I mean, after seeing your footage, it looked incredible, was Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom running on Switch 2. It looks absolutely incredible. How was it to actually play that?
It was really shocking.
In a good way?
In a fantastic way. Absolutely a good way. You're right. Thank you for asking. The demo was quite short, so I didn't really know where to spend my time. And Alana was like, oh, there was a save file that had the Korok Forest. Like, go to the Korok Forest. Go explore there. And it was surprising how smooth it really was. Like, when I first walked in, I tried to pull the Master Sword out for fun, even though I didn't have enough hearts. Alana was even like, I think you need 13. And I was like, yeah, you're right. What am I doing? I kind of explored around, and it's been a while since I've played Breath of the Wild and even Tears of the Kingdom, so I couldn't remember if there was a certain part in the Korok Forest that was rough, or if it was just the entirety. And it was just a smooth experience throughout, so much so that I was like, am I doing something wrong? Like, the game should be like lagging right now, right? And it just wasn't. Even then, we decided to warp to a tower.
Yeah, I saw that. Went so quick.
It really was. Even like I don't know if you went back and did any loading comparisons or anything. Like, I certainly haven't, but in the moment, like I turned around to Alana and was like, that was fast, right? It's just going to make world traversal so much better. And that's a really nice thing to see the Switch handling loading times so much quicker with, I'm assuming, micro SD Express and just better hardware. But
yeah, what about the loading distance? Of course, I can only get so much from watching your video. When you, I know Alana played that intersection where you can look all out from the Great Plateau.
Oh, the Great Plateau, yeah.
Yeah, did it feel like, wow, I can see so far? Of course, it was also better in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because when I warped from the Korok Forest to the tower, I looked off in the distance and everything was sharp, but it wasn't like populated with trees and little like houses or rock formations. It was still, the pop-in might be the same, because that was one thing that was like a little immersion breaking.
I mean, it certainly feels worse, at least from what I played in Tears of the Kingdom, because there you can just see so much from so high up, where in Breath of the Wild you're grounded much more often.
Like when Alana was playing Tears of the Kingdom, we were trying to find, since that game, you know, has more, I think a harder time with frame rate, I guess, with like Ultra Hand and all of the different like kind of things that you can add on to like vehicles and the sort. But the demo was short, so we were trying like on the fly to think of like, how can we break this demo? Can we see if we can get any frame stuttering? And Alana threw a bunch of bombs down and pulled out like a fire weapon, or like lit the grass on fire, and we tried as hard as we could to, you know, cause some frame stutters, but it still looked just buttery smooth.
Oh, that's great.
So that was really nice to see. I wouldn't doubt that the game's gonna have, you know, some kind of issues because of just how big you can build certain vehicles and take them through certain environments are probably going to be more taxing, but we tried to break the game and we couldn't. So
but one game that I'm not sure I'll dive that much into is the Switch 2 Welcome. Oh, I forget the title.
Oh yeah, Welcome Tour.
You said you got to try that out.
Yeah. I wrote the hands-on preview for that for
Nice.
like Nintendo Life with Gavin. Both of us kind of tag teamed that one. I'm not so sure how to feel about it yet.
So after having played it, this should be a pack-in title, right?
I 100% agree. I don't understand why this was not a pack-in title. My only guess is that maybe Nintendo will release this as like a Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack bonus, or maybe it'll be like $5 here in the Switch. And what my hope is that there's more to this game than we've seen.
But it's like even if it's $5, like why would you pay? I mean, it is cool, but I don't see a lot of people paying for it, myself included. Like, okay, it's cool, but this should be like, I'm just learning about the console and stuff like that. I don't know how fun it is, and as you say, we can only hope that there's more to this game than that what they've showed.
I think it's Nintendo probably just trying to recoup some cost, and I don't think they need to give us this thing for free. I think they should as well. If they want to charge, then I guess, like, who am I to say? But what my hope is that this will be kind of like a Wii Play scenario, or where it's, you know, Wii Play back in the day was, in the US it was $50 and it came with a Wii remote. So theoretically, assume you were paying $10 to get Wii Play. And that game very much felt like it should have been something for free as well, but people were paying $10 for it. So I guess comparing it to something like that, it's not as bad. And there are supposed to be way more tech demos in here as well. I think the demoist that I was with said there were dozens. Now, I don't know if that means 24, 36, if it means 15, I don't know. But if the right mini games are in there, I think this could be a fun time for the right Nintendo fans.
So we've talked about, if I'm counting correctly, 8 games so far.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So you probably want to know what else I've played then. Yeah.
Yeah, the last 2 games. What are they?
One I'm a little split on is Split Fiction.
It didn't look good in the trailer. I mean, it's super nice to have it, but compared to on the PlayStation, it looked a bit rough around the edges.
I think you hit it right on the head there. I think that's the reason why I felt weird about it. I've been playing It Takes Two on PlayStation 5, and of course, you know, that's not Switch 2 hardware. And I know you really liked It Takes Two as well. I think that's why I'm a bit more miffed here, especially when you compare it to something like Cyberpunk. I think I was really expecting Split Fiction to kind of be prepared for Switch 2 hardware, and it's just not a showcase of what the Switch 2 can do.
I think it's a good showcase that you have to develop for the unit, because if Cyberpunk can run and look best, like it looks genuinely good.
Yeah.
This game should also look genuinely good, but it doesn't, because they hadn't prioritized it or haven't figured out exactly how to optimize it for the Switch. So that's a shame to hear. But
you're totally right. Just because the Switch 2 is more powerful now, you're right. It doesn't mean that every game is just going to have it easy now. They still need to kind of have enough time and resources to understand the hardware. You're right. Just environments and objects were very low detailed. Everything felt like it kind of, like the colors were really muted. And that's the thing I loved about Cyberpunk, was everything was bright and in your face. And I wasn't expecting that on Nintendo's hardware from a third party. And especially, you're right, when you compare it to Split Fiction, it's quite night and day. So
Sion, We have one more game, or actually, we have one game and a little extra something that you also got
Yeah,
to
a
place.
bonus. An expansion pack, we could say. Yeah. You'll be so happy to hear, Felix, that the mouse mode mini games in Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition are fantastic.
Yay!
I had so much fun, and I could not care. I'm not anti-Mario Party. I just couldn't care less about them when I saw them. I even saw the demo station, and I went and played them. I got to play with a few. I got to play with a Treehouse employee and a Nintendo demoist, and we just had a blast. Alana and I both did. We did like a
That's
whole team
awesome.
of 4 of us. There's weird little mini games. Like, I don't know if you've really like dug into them yet, but there's one where you're sorting email.
I've seen that one in this house.
Yeah, you're moving the Joy-Con. All of the mini games I think I played used mouse mode, if I remember right. But the email one was a lot of fun. You're sorting email. Like, there's all these letters out on the table, so I guess it's not really, it's just letters. But there's some of them have Bowser stamps and Peach stamps and regular ones, and you're sorting them into different piles. The Bowser ones, of course, go into the trash bin, and you're working. We played co-op, so we were on teams of 2, and it was so frantic and fun, and it just felt like. I think all of the mini games felt a bit more chaotic because we were all given this new control set that we kind of understand, because we know how mice work, and I know my mouse is very different than the norm, and we know how Joy-Con work, but we've now been like thrown into this new thing that like feels familiar but is different. So it adds that element, but also it's a ton of new mini games. There was also one that you would be good at this as well, was you have to carry like a toad kind of through this like cave where all of the walls are electrified. And if the toad hits the wall, he gets shocked and gets sent back to like the checkpoint that you were at. But I was straight up like so good at this one because of, I think, our Photoshop skills of like having to like drag the lasso tool like around a character to cut it out of an image to use in a thumbnail in our videos, that I was just like, and maybe the other like players that we were playing with were like intentionally, being worse so that way I could excel at a mini game, but I had so much fun playing that one. We also did Jamboree TV, Bowser TV. Yeah, we did that as well.
With the camera and stuff, or?
Yeah, it worked well. Like, it did a good job of like, because basically how that plays, for anyone who doesn't know, is you put a camera kind of in front of the TV and it faces you and all of the players. And I don't think you used Joy-Con. I think it was just your full body, like PlayStation 3's eye camera and Xbox Connect. And it did a good job of like cutting out you from the background image and everything and like inserting you into the game. It just was like, I don't know if I'm just getting older. I just don't want to do that in video games anymore. Like, when I was a kid or like a high schooler, I loved playing, like, there were a couple PlayStation 3 games that I played called like TV Superstars and Start the Party, and even like You're in the Movies, where the camera would scan you and put you in the game, or just put the entire background in and everything. And it was fun being on TV and seeing all my friends and laughing at each other. But now I just don't want to like do squats. And I don't want to like, there was a mini game where you have to yell at the top of your lungs and you have to jump around and move as much as you can. And I think that'll be great for 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, or even just a family. But I wanted no part of that. Yeah.
I think I'm still young enough that I can appreciate some like motion, like all that. I mean, that doesn't sound too bad.
Sure.
But I guess I'll have to try it. But you did have a little something extra that you also got to play.
Yeah, I got to play some GameCube, Nintendo Switch Online stuff.
I
did not try out F-Zero because I'm
with the GameCube controller?
I did, yes, with a GameCube controller.
Nice!
And it felt great. Oh my, I forgot we didn't get to talk about that in the Switch 2 video either. The joystick. I mean, a few years ago, many years ago, Nintendo re-released GameCube controllers for the Wii U with Smash Bros. For Wii U. And it was great getting our hands on brand new GameCube joysticks then. But now, these ones, they feel different. It's still like, it's a really nice quality. I have no complaints about them. They just feel, the analog stick just felt a little different, and I think almost better. I'm very curious if they've used the same sticks that they've used in the Joy-Con and Switch Pro controller in the GameCube controller, or implemented some of that technology. But we played some Soul Calibur 2, and I got to watch Alana play Wind Waker, and I had a blast with Soul Calibur 2. It felt like it's a Namco fighting game that is like, it was best played on GameCube because you could play as Link, and Link is in this version, and his grab is just as overpowered as it was back then, where you can grab someone and he just like hucks them just right over, right behind his back, and you can ring out someone, and it felt like riding a bike. Wind Waker was like let me know in the comments down below if you think that this looks a little stuttery. Maybe it's just because we've never seen Wind Waker in, this original version at like such a high resolution, because the Wii U version was rebuilt a little with, they redid some character designs and added some like bloom and lighting bloom and everything, and just changed the color palettes, and it's a different game. But Wind Waker just didn't look as smooth as I thought it would, running on Switch. But maybe my eyes are wrong. I did like to see though, widescreen support. Certain games for the GameCube were developed with widescreen support in mind, and if that game has it, you can activate it in the settings.
Oh, nice.
So we played Soul Calibur 2 widescreen on the GameCube expansion pack. Yeah, it just did the thing, kind of like how, right, like certain N64 expansion pack games I think also have widescreen support. I don't remember. Maybe Banjo-Tooie is one of them.
GoldenEye.
Oh, it does, yeah?
Yeah. Did you get to try any of the CRT filters?
I didn't turn it on. We went into the settings and I saw it there, and I just left it alone. I don't know why.
That's fair. I'm really excited about that because I remember. I mean, it's also coming to N64, but only on Switch 2, I think. Okay. But I'm really excited about that because when I was playing Ocarina of Time, I think it would help so much with a good CRT filter can really do wonders for those old games and make them look how they are supposed to look.
That was it. I had a blast, but my gosh.
That's a lot of games.
We've all had a long week. But
yeah, we sat down to do this chat with Alex, we'll get it done in 25 minutes. And now we've gone so much over. Yeah, to go. And I think we handled it quite well, though. It was really, really exciting to hear about all the games. I think what I'm most excited about is Mario Kart and also Zelda. And also Metroid. That looks really, really good. And I'm glad that you had a blast with it and are playing the remastered of the first one.
Metroid has such good bones. I only got to do the opening area, really. So I didn't get to go to the new planet. I didn't get to use the psychic powers. But if the rest of the game is as good as that core opening, I think that's going to be a great time.
But anyway, what do you think of all these games now that you've had a proper look at it with all Sion's footage? Well, let us know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you talk about 10 Switch 2 games that you haven't played and click that subscribe button. All right, then. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Felix and Sion from Nintendo Life, out.